are listening to the Balancing Act podcast. Here's your hosts, Jamie Wonko and Joe Vitale.
Listen, I know you're giddy with excitement, but we are officially recording.
Hello. I can't even talk. I'm so excited.
I know. You're so excited.
Hello. And I just ate pudding an hour ago. I'm sorry. Hello and welcome to the Balancing Act podcast. I am Jamie Wonko here with Mr. Joseph Vitale. Hello.
Hey, friend. What's going on? Good to see you. What's up?
Good to see you. And you know that my heart is overwhelmed with joy, excitement, freaking out.
Yeah, I know. This is like
she is my girl crush.
This is like Sunset Hard Hands. Like there's like.
It's how you feel about Nick Ferroni.
I mean, yeah, you know,
it's
a fellow Jersey guy. You know, love the guy. What are you gonna do?
Hey,
yeah, you know what else we love? You know what else
we love? Teachers Insurance Plan.
Yes, we do.
Our season 3 is brought to you by our presenting sponsor. I'm too excited. Teachers Insurance Plan. Check out their website for more information and give them a call to get a quote. Teachers Insurance Plan, auto insurance that brings exclusive educator savings and exceptional customer care to New Jersey and Pennsylvania educational employees.
Well, look,
you know what?
Yeah, what?
Somebody just, now I can't remember who it was, but somebody just hit me up on the gram and said that they went for, they took their kids on a field trip to the New Jersey Hall of Fame.
Oh, awesome.
And they were like, we loved it. The kids loved it. It was wonderful. And I was, like, oh, heck to the yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a cool space. It really is. And especially where we recorded, they have like that whole like virtual reality thing that you can do, and where you can interview somebody virtually, and then they have the karaoke, which I'm upset you didn't do it. I wanted to see it. But it's been
and one of our boys, our son's good friends, just decided where he was going to college, and it made me think of our producer when we recorded at the Hall of Fame, because that is where where he is an alumni.
That's awesome.
Alumni.
Yeah. I mean, before you explode, I think we better bring in our guest too. We better like really jump into this. She's so excited. All right, let's bring her in. Her heart's aflutter. Okay, well, hey, Dr. Noelle Santorelli, my favorite Diet Coke friend.
Yes.
It is so, and by the way, that is no slight on my friend Courtney White. We love you too, because she also is big in the Diet Coke. I grabbed one in solidarity.
DC for everybody.
Yeah, for everybody. I've heard them called the fridge cigarette, which I really enjoy.
I really resonate with that.
Yes. Hey, Doc. Listen, we are super excited to have you back with us. And not only that, like our listeners love when you're on, and we know that you're super busy for good reason. So, like, it is just absolutely awesome that we're here. And Jamie didn't faint when we brought you in, so everything is wonderful. It's a good time for everybody.
I'm so excited to be back talking to you guys.
Thank you. I mean, when we had our end of season show last year, it was like we called it like major monumental moments of season 2, and we had to say like who our favorite guest was.
I remember that,
and I was like, of course it's you.
Yep.
I love that,
Dr. Santorelli. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Thank you so much. I love it, and you guys were my first ever podcast.
Yeah, I know, and so we're going to be asking for we're going to ask for some residuals when
yes, I understand that. I'm here for that.
Yeah. We were just saying there's like a lot of people who say like, wow, you were our first podcast.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, we're so honored to be able to have, like gently guided you into the world of, of podcasts.
Yes.
And now you're all over the place.
Yeah, you are all over the place. So the first thing we want to hear about is like all things Dr. Noelle Santorelli, because we had you on late last season, probably around this time.
Yes.
Pretty much in May. So, we'd like to know what's been going on in your world these days, Doc.
So, what's been going on?
The chin. It's like a whole, we love it.
Yes, it's a whole thing. So, I mean, not much has changed other than, obviously, I'm still in private practice. I'm seeing my clients like normal. But I would say when the Ashley Tisdale article... When Ashley Tisdale wrote that article about toxic mom groups, I started getting a lot of requests.
Refresh my memory on that one. I do remember it, but for some reason it's fuzzy. Can you fill me in on that?
Sure. That was It was January 6th. So I think it actually was.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I do believe it was like January 6th. Sometime early January 2026, Ashley Tisdale wrote an article for The Cut, the New York magazine Cut. I think it's New York Magazine, The Cut, about what it was like breaking up with her toxic mom group and sort of what she felt in that group and what led her to her decision to leave that group. And it went super crazy viral. Like it just was like the biggest thing of 2026, early January. And I think a lot of the media was like, what is happening? Why are so many people invested in this? You know, Ashley Tisdale's a celebrity, obviously. You know, she was in the Hillary Duff like era. And some of the people, she didn't say this, but who she was the people that were in her mom group were other famous celebrities. She did not call them out, but if you look back on her photos and of her with mom groups, it was like Meghan Trainor, Hillary Duff. I'm forgetting the other one, but people you know. And so it just took the internet by storm. And I think so I got a lot of media requests around that time asking me to weigh in on it. I think media was just shocked that women, mothers in particular, were resonating so strongly with this article.
Yeah, and even doing
of course,
go ahead.
Of course, for you, you know, it was exactly what you've known
Yeah.
and taught us and told us and what we know. And yeah,
Yeah.
of course. And for any of us that are moms and have gone to, you know, PTA meetings, then you got field day, you're sort of, you know, like you're dodging bullets of who's talking about you, is your cooler the right size? You know, there's it's a minefield.
So
Yes.
and so I just did a quick Google search of the article because once you were talking about it, like kind of spurred my memory. But even looking at like a quick query Google search, like there are so many response articles, like why it's justified to leave your mom group, why you should set boundaries in your it is literally like article after article after
is it
article
an
after
overreaction?
Yeah,
Did she
yeah.
overreact? Was this inappropriate? Was it appropriate? Are mom groups good? Are they bad? Are they this or that? I mean, it went from every angle you can imagine. And I would say, I think the overarching response was, yeah, this is something really hard that women deal with.
Yeah, so we'd love for you to recount for us too, like, you know, a little bit about like relational aggression and what your expertise is in, because you know, for a good reason, we've got some more listeners, which is great. So maybe they didn't, you know, find your earlier episodes, which if you didn't, I strongly urge you to listen to those because they're honestly fantastic.
And we have 3 because we did one and then the 2-part.
Yeah, we did. That's
So
right. We did a 2-parter too. That's crazy.
Yep.
Better memory than me right now.
So this should be our 4th.
Yeah, it is. Our most returning guest. Love it.
Yay!
Yeah. So we'd love to hear like where your expertise lies and where this comes from.
So about 2 years ago, I think it was almost exactly 2 years ago this April, I started talking about adult bullying or adult bullying, but specifically among mothers. What the sort of formal name for adult bullying is relational aggression, covert bullying, indirect aggression, social bullying. There's lots of different names. And in the research, in academia or research, those like differences and nuances between all of them matter. For our purposes and for sort of the public's purposes, relational aggression is what I'm going to use to encompass all of those. And what it is, it's when behaviors are done in a covert way to damage your relational standings with other people. So someone wants to damage your reputation or your relationships or how you're seen relationally with other people. And so they use behaviors like gossip, gatekeeping like not telling you where where the SAT is taking place this Saturday, or not telling you when the soccer tryouts are. They might use, obviously, triangulation, where they get another person in the group to get together and go against you. There's gaslighting. There's passive aggressive comments. It's what you think of when you think of basic middle school mean girls. And hence the word that I started using is mean girl moms, meaning that these moms are acting like mean girls.
Why, I have a question about something very specific and personal, but why in a situation with with relational aggression, if there's I think triangular is something that, right, involving other people. So why, if you have an issue and you approach someone, so like if someone was having an issue with me, I knew they were having an issue with me, and I approach them and I say, like, how can we make this better? Can you tell me what I did?
Right.
And their response is, you know what you did. Well, what is that? Help me with that, because that's been something for me for quite some time, and I'm like, but I don't. I promise. I'm sorry. Whatever it was, I don't remember. I don't know. And they just stick with,
Yeah. I think sometimes when that happens, a couple different things.
Okay.
One thing is, that's not a healthy behavior. Right. So, period. That's not healthy communication, right? That's like what we wouldn't want to teach our adolescents, our elementary school kids, right? We would teach them to say, here's what you did to hurt me, or it hurt me when, or I didn't like it when, right? So, at a baseline, that to me is not healthy adult communication, right? Baseline. When they say something like, you know what you did, they either have interpreted and internalized something you did to an extent that is way more egregious or serious than something that you ever would have registered it as, right? So maybe you did something, and based on their personal background or their way of seeing the world or their personality characteristics, they interpreted that as something malicious and egregious and terrible. And so they might really think, oh, you know what you did, right? So they might really believe that. Now, there's also the chance that it is a little bit more sinister, and they just don't really want you around, or they don't want you in their group, or they just don't like what you represent, or they don't like something about you, and there really isn't something that you did. And so it sort of catches them off guard, because a lot of people are not used to being confronted, and they're not used to having to take accountability or to be called out directly for something. And that's part of the thing with relational aggression, right? Is it's covert for the most part, and it's indirect. Yeah. And a lot of people just sort of it's normalized, right? It's become very normalized, and a lot of people do not push up against it. And so if they do find someone who pushes up and says, well, great, tell me what I did and why, they probably don't even know, because there may not be anything specific. It's just that they don't want you in their orbit. And so that's a very easy, you know what you did. So on one hand, maybe what you did do, they've interpreted it as something terrible. And so, again, it's not good communication, but maybe that's what they're like, you know what you did, it's so bad, I can't even talk about it. Or there really wasn't anything in particular, you're just not their vibe or their cup of tea, and they just want you out. And that's a relational aggression move.
So interesting. Because we see this with like mom groups, but also in families.
Oh, all the time. So relational aggression, although I talk about it a lot in motherhood, because that's when I was first introduced to it from like a personal perspective, just seeing it around me. Relational aggression occurs all the time within families. And that's where I see it in my private practice mostly, is I started to realize, wait a minute, what I do in the daytime in my office, because I work with highly complex or conflictual relationships among families. Okay. I was like, wait a minute, all of these behaviors are going on, but in the friend group. Why is this happening? And at the end of the day, a system is a system, right? Like a closed system is a closed system. And so you're going to see the same types of behaviors operating, whether it's a workplace, a mom group, a family dynamic, a church community, right? A system is a system. And so you'll start to see similar behavioral patterns when you get large groups, particularly of women together, is when we see the relational aggression dynamics.
Something that struck me with the Ashley Tisdale story, and this is something that I've witnessed, like with certain relationships for myself as a mom, also in my family, some of my extended family, is that there were a lot of people who, whether they were on the outskirts of that group or kind of knew some of them, or even like famous people in interviews at the time, were like, just leave the group. Why'd you have to say anything? Just leave the group. Why'd you have to say anything? And I feel like, why are we now judging someone who's trying to shed light on something that was obviously very upsetting and hurtful for her, in hopes to try to create like a sense of awareness? It's almost like we're trying to closet people. We're trying to shut them down, shut down the feelings. It was just that part really bothered me.
That part really bothered me too. It felt very much like a blame the victim mentality.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what? Like, you know, you were out to a bar, and what were you wearing? Like, maybe if you weren't wearing that, maybe that wouldn't have happened. Like, to me, it was, if you know where I'm going with, like, that was the vibe that I was picking up on. Like, well, let's blame her for the aftermath and what she did. Now, I don't think anyone's saying she shouldn't take accountability for whatever it is she did, and none of us will ever know, right? But here's a person who put into words as a celebrity something that a lot of regular mothers, regular women are feeling. And when she posted it, her article on her page, I commented, and she responded to me, and she said she'd seen one of my reels.
Nice.
And it let her know she wasn't alone in this.
That's really good. You often, I think you mentioned, I think it was you on one of our episodes, you said you got to name it to tame it, right? Was that you?
Yes.
That's
yes.
it?
I always say you have to name it to tame
sometimes sometimes it takes somebody of status, I guess, right? Ashley Tisdale, to come out and say it, where other people go like, hey, wait a minute, that's me too. Like, I'm also
see themselves.
That.
Yep.
Yes.
And they don't know how to deal with it, but now that there's this talk around it, then we're learning the skills and getting the knowledge that we need. Like, hey, you know what? It is okay for me to not be treated this way.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
So,
and part of the biggest problem is we start to gaslight ourselves when it's happening, right? So many of the women I speak with, and whether this is in a mom group or not a mom group, when you're dealing with relational aggression, whether it's in a family, in just a regular women's group, a mom's group, it is so insidious and so under the table, right? You start asking yourself, wait, did I do something? Or when that woman said, you know what you did, you're like, what did I do? Right? And so you start thinking initially like, well, maybe it is me. Maybe I wasn't friendly enough. Maybe I talked too much. Maybe I didn't talk enough. Maybe I this, maybe I that. And you start to really, really think it's you. And that creates a lot of shame. And so to have someone say, actually, maybe it's not all you. Maybe it's some you. Right? It takes two to tango all the time. But maybe there's a bigger thing than just you. Maybe there's a system in place. And, you know, my big sort of hill to die on is that this is systemic. This is not an individual, women are mean, moms are mean. To me, this is a big systemic problem that's an indication of where we are at culturally. So to me, this is a symptom of a bigger illness. So relational aggression and the way it's coming out, particularly in mothers, and then trickling down to the kids, to me is a big cultural systemic issue. Sort of like it's the fever, but there's a deeper infection that's causing it.
That's deep. And, you know, you said about like a trickling down to the kids and like, you know, hearing some of the things from students, because we're at the middle school level, right? And we hear things from students all the time about like, well, you know, this one's in a relationship with that one, and the friends don't like the new girlfriend just because she's the girlfriend of one of their friends. Like, oh, we have to not like her and keep her at arm's length because what if they're not around, or what if they're like, and sometimes you're like, well, you're never going to get to know me if you treat me in that way. You know what I mean? Like, it's but when we're doing that as adults, that's a much bigger problem to me. Like,
for sure,
we're excluding somebody because like their kid isn't the best athlete on the travel team, or all the other bullshit, right? Like the stuff that just and I've learned this over the last few years. Like the stuff that just doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. You know what matters? That your kid is a nice person, right? That your kid is empathetic, that they are passionate about something, that they are kind and caring. Like those are the honestly, those are the qualities that matter more than your prowess on a baseball field. It does just
absolutely.
It just doesn't matter. What matters is how we treat one another in those situations.
We read the book that you had recommended to us last year.
I'm trying to think which one.
Gee, Joe.
The one with oh my goodness.
The pencil on the front.
Oh, yes. Never Enough, Jennifer Wallace.
Yes.
Never Enough. And we actually read it as an entire staff this year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Did you? You
yes,
should message her and tell her. She would love to hear that.
We will. Yeah, our principal bought a copy for everybody in the building.
Yep.
And it was wild to hear different it was great.
It's a great book, right?
It was a great book, and there were I mean, like, I was just like taking notes and post-its and things I'm going to go back to and reference, and there was something that was interesting, I think, because some of the teachers were looking at it like, well, how much of this can we really apply like to our students in our school? And then there were a lot of people where it was like, can you apply it like in your life? And that, like the bigger sort of, idea of like how you sit as a parent, how you sit as just like a person, like living amongst the people, But it was interesting. There were so many things in there that I could relate to, and it was just so good. And really everybody was genuinely like taken with it, and there were lots of things, like anytime you read or have any kind of information, there were things where it was like, whoa. Even our vice principal led one of because we had these different meetings in different times over the few months, and one of them our vice principal led, and I was like, wow. I even like just seeing him in a different way of like what he had poured out from the book to the rest of us. It was like, wow.
Well, her new book came out called Mattering.
Okay.
That not just, maybe 3 months ago. I think it's already a bestseller. And she doesn't say this, but like I feel like it's an extension to some degree when you say, like, can we apply this? So it's more to applying to everybody. Yeah. So her anecdote, right, in the back, towards the end, is like, how do we teach that you matter? That's an anecdote to this like performance-driven culture. Yeah. So her new book is Mattering, and like, how do we encompass that, not just for our kids, but like as humans in general?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm trying to think of an article that I brought. I remember the talk with the vice principal too. There was an article that I brought about like removing barriers for students, and what that does is it creates like this like we're bulldozing every single situation. And one of our fellow teachers made a comment and teaches very difficult children, and he's like, hey, like yeah, a little bit of the word that I keep going back to is grit, right? That kids need a little bit of grit to get through like tough situations. And there are many of them that just don't have it because we are removing those things for those kids. And he's like, hey, I'm teaching these kids how to do this because like I want them to be productive members of society. You got to show up to a job. You got to be on time. You got to, do this and do that. Like, like all of us are, the worker bees that we are, right? Like that's what he's trying to teach them in what he does with him in those kids in a math class, the difficult kids that you would have, right?
Well,
so we can't just remove those stressors from every child and expect them to be able to function properly in a society.
No. And I think part of the problem that again, I see the increase in relational aggression as symptomatic of a bigger cultural issue that we have as parents. I think that the status anxiety has gotten to such a level that we want to, as parents, remove any obstacle. And we've been doing this for a while, right? Since like the helicopter parenting.
Yes.
It's hard to develop grit, though, when your child is just your report card. So if my child is my report card, right? I want a good report card. And so I'm going to clean it up if it looks like a C is coming or a B is coming or, God forbid, a D is coming, right? I'm going to step in and clean it up because that's becoming a reflection of how I am. What job am I doing? So I think that the parents are getting, and this is the same with sports, all the things. So it's social status anxiety. So parents are having anxiety that their status is going to be reflected or not reflected in their child's performance and outcomes. So the child's almost like a decoy for their own self-worth, and they're living through the child, right? And that's where some of that, you see it in college admissions, you see it in who made the travel team, who made the this, who made the that. It's about status anxiety.
And that's the season that we are in, right? One of the things we were going to ask you about is like Jamie and I just went through that whole, application cycle. And I know for my kids, it was, where do you see yourself being happiest and most successful? Period. That was it. That was the only measuring stick I wanted them to use for what college that they went to. Does it have to program?
We had one more part. Where do you see yourself being happy, successful, and not with a lifetime of debt?
Yes, right, absolutely.
I know you too, Joe.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's the other part is that it's become so expensive. Way that so that had to be part of the realistic conversations that we went through. But even, talk about like relational aggression. I had joined a bunch of online groups, which were very helpful in showing how to, even like the codes to apply so that you could apply and not have to pay, like things like that. Like you can't avoid it, which I was like super duper, like, I want a code. And, and then how you can challenge merit money and how you go about doing that and they can offer you more. And like, so I did find, as much as like some of them you were sort of just like dredging through, it was like, no, this is necessary because I'm a first time parent sending it, it's my first kid going to college, but at the same time, it was like that nitpicky, like I will be getting out of those groups and then waiting another 4 years to join them again. But it was things like, okay, we finished our applications. And then some people would be like, yes, oh, what a great feeling, submit. And then other people would say like, you're not supposed to say we. You're not supposed to say we. And it's like, oh my gosh, okay, please, like just so... Who it's like this is something that I've said like throughout my mom's illness. I say this to my dad all the time. Right. This is your first time living too.
Yes.
And I tell that to my kids, like, this is my first time living. I'm just trying my best. And I say that to my dad, and we talk, it's like one of those things that we've come to really like rely on because we're trying our best. So this whole idea of picking at someone for like just one word, it's like, like I always say to my kids, like, I grew you. Like, I'm sorry I'm having a hard time with like letting go of certain things. Like, I grew you. So it's like, there's like just that idea, but you're going to pick on somebody for,
I do not.
Oh, I know. I do. I say like, I'm sorry, but and it is true. It's like, I want the best for you. But at the same time, like, can we say can we just leave each other alone a little bit?
Have you ever thought, I work in education, why is finding a job so weirdly hard?
Yeah, scrolling through random job boards where half the listings don't even make sense is not the vibe.
That's why njschooljobs.com actually makes sense.
It's a job board built specifically for New Jersey schools, public, private, charter, and parochial.
Teachers, administrators, counselors, support staff, coaching opportunities. If your job involves a bell schedule, this site's for you.
It's free for job seekers. You can upload your resume, set job alerts, and apply without jumping through hoops.
Schools across New Jersey actively use njschooljobs.com, so these are real, current openings.
They also host virtual job fairs where you can connect with multiple districts online. No driving all over the state.
Those are coming up soon, so check the link in our episode description to register.
Head to njschooljobs.com.
Hey, Teacher Besties, I'm Andrea Forcum, and I am so excited to share with you that my book, They Never Taught Us That, is available right now. It is everything an experienced or first-year teacher needs to manage the chaos of the modern classroom, including some anecdotes to make you feel a little bit better. Because if there is a way that you can screw up, I've probably done it. It also has advice on how to build trust with families, how to manage grading and lesson plans and IEPs and everything else that they never went over in your teacher prep program. They Never Taught Us That is available everywhere right now.
Yeah,
Right. And when there's such a high level of competition, right, that's when relational aggression comes out. So it's not the only reason, but one of the more evolutionary reasons is when resources were scarce, or when we thought resources were scarce, or when we thought, our position in the group would be threatened, women couldn't act out aggressively in a physical way. Women were traditionally smaller. They were traditionally in charge of actually the child rearing while the men went out and did the hunting or the fighting, right? So women had to find a way to express their anger and frustrations and to protect their position or status in the group. And so that's one of the ways relational aggression was born. And so we're seeing the same thing. We're just seeing it in online comments. We're seeing it in rude comments to your face. You know what you did, or, oh, really? Was that his first choice? Right? That could be
I mean, come on. I want to say curse words, but come on. Let whatever, if I said to Jamie, knowing what schools that Drew was between, and said, oh, why did they choose this one over that one? And your comment is, well, this school has the program, but it's much, much more money. So that's plays into all of the decisions. And by the way, none of the schools that are applied, except for one of them, I would think, are, and both of our kids applied, all of our kids applied to that school. That would be the most expensive one, right? Which would be Seton Hall.
You're right. We weren't looking at 80,000.
There was none of that. But there was, and there's some people that are, and I don't want my kids to graduate with large amounts of debt. I want them to be happy on their college campus. I want them to find, quote unquote, find their people, do things that they're going to enjoy, and they're going to find all of those things. If they're involved in making the decision on what's going to happen. So but that comment that you just said, oh, was that his first choice? Or why would he want to go there? There's a better thing over it, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Because that's where they're going to be happiest. God damn it.
You're because I'm not making my child carry the social rank for our family.
Yeah.
I'm letting my child choose where they think they'll belong best.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Because the kids end up carrying or feeling the responsibility to carry that social rank for the family and propel it forward. Then every choice, every decision, right, leads to pressure, leads to anxiety, leads to depression, leads to not knowing themselves. It's a constant, and this is why I see it as this big cultural mess, because it starts here and it ends up with the highest, rates of mental health illness in adolescents and young adults that we've ever seen, because they're carrying things that are too heavy and too big and really aren't theirs to carry.
Yeah, and that was my daughter through the beginning of the process with the SATs and going to school. What if I go there and I don't like it, and then I have to transfer out? I don't want to be that person. I'm like, you're literally saying all these things. And she was putting so much pressure on herself. And my wife and I never said to her, you got to do this, the thing, and the school, and the blah, blah, blah. We were like, we don't care if you need to transfer. We both transferred. I was at 3 different places.
Yeah.
So
But you know what? Remember in Never Enough oh my gosh, I was like, oh no, I do it. It was like, oh, don't worry about the test and like grades don't matter and I love you no matter what and blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, but the first thing that you ask them is like, how was the test today? Or like, how did you do today? So sometimes like subliminally, like we don't even, I don't know if that's the right word. Like we don't even realize that we're doing that. We're doing it. And, you know, and it's like, you think that you're like parenting with like intentions that are really pure and you know, which is why I go back to like, this is all our first time living. So we're, you know, just trying
and we all, listen, we all went to college.
Yeah.
It is it is not, it's like I never even went in regards to like the application process and how it all works and how it all goes down. And Doc, I know you're not in that.
I have a junior.
Yeah,
I have a junior.
No, there you are. So you're just going to be
we're
like.
We're getting there.
Yeah. No, you're there.
Yeah. We're there.
My favorite and only tip is you can challenge the merit money.
Yeah.
And
that is really good to know.
Wait as long as you possibly can to accept.
Yeah. Okay.
Because a couple of weeks before, like May 1st is decision day, and like a couple of weeks before, and even after you've already been accepted they've already accepted that school and paid the deposit, you can still challenge their merit money and the school can offer you more. Because we just sort of did a little bit. I was like, what's the difference? Let's try again, you know. And we did, and they I really, it was like I had no idea that was that existed at all, which is awesome. And also, you know, what I learned from some of my mean parent groups.
Well, I was gonna say, you know, it's interesting because since I've started talking so openly about mean girl behavior, mean girl moms, competition among parents, you know, I made a post about the humble brag. You guys know what a humble brag is, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So a lot of people were like, I love a humble brag. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't understand what a humble brag is. They thought it meant like when you're humble, but you want to like share something. I'm like, that's not a humble brag. That's just saying something humbly. A humble brag is when you're disguising like, this is so hard for me. So you want sympathy, but you also want acknowledgement, right? Like the humble brag is not humble. It's the opposite. Anyway. Why am I even sharing this? Something about the humble brag. So since I started talking about all this stuff, I'm finding that I'm not experiencing a lot of these behaviors, but I think people are like, oh, I'm going to watch my P's and Q's when I'm talking to her.
There could
right?
definitely be some of that, yeah.
So I'm starting to notice it less and less, and then I'm like, oh, well, I guess I know why. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm not experiencing it as much, but I think that's because people know that's what I talk about. And the good news is that means, guess what? That people know what they're doing and they know how to change that behavior, but we don't call them out. And so they don't, right?
Right.
It's like anything with kids, with teenagers, right? Like if I can get away with being loud and talking in class and like messing around, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and it goes back.
But if I have a teacher who's like, knock it off, I'm gonna not do it.
Yeah, it goes back to the whole, you know what you did. Like, oh no, I don't. Like, you know, it's like if you did that to your spouse, you know what I mean? Like if my wife did that to me, if I said to her, hey, what did I blah blah, and she goes, you know what you did, I would spiral like you wouldn't believe. And if James, if you said that to your wonderful husband, he'd be like, yeah, I really don't know what you're talking like.
I mean, he doesn't know a lot.
He doesn't know a lot. He'd be like, oh, that must have been awful. That must have been awful for you. That must have been awful for you.
He just texted me and he said, what time is it there? Because he is it's his favorite thing to say, because he is in another part of the state helping his own parents, and really they're now in their own like their sandwich generation journey together has just begun, and so he's like, what time is it there?
It's like, but it's still New Jersey, so it's not a different time zone.
You feel like it's a different time zone because you're like you're getting that headspace of like, where am I and what's happening to me? So it's always, what time is it there? Is it 6:15 there? Yes. Okay.
No, I think that this is something that many parents are experiencing on the female side more than on the male side, right? And you know, and that's why I don't want to interject my opinion on this, because I don't have one. It's not something that I experience on a regular basis, because that's not what I'm exposed to, but I can see and hear like from my wife sometimes, even like, even like, like when people talk about their jobs and their work and they're like, I'm sure we see this at our, like, and I work in a female dominated profession, right? So there is a lot of that in the dynamic of other teachers that work together, where we can also see like,
we've interviewed quite a few people who've had like very uncomfortable situations in their schools. So many. And we have gotten really some good advice along the way, which is, if you love teaching, but you don't love your school, find a new school, don't leave teaching. Because oftentimes, it could be like an age difference or an experience difference, or people think the boss prefers someone over someone else. And so they get this level of like, uncomfortability. And then like, they get ostracized for whatever reason. And then they're like all alone in this environment. And, as a teacher, you're not with other adults that often.
Right.
But when you are, it's almost like a, please, help me, like water in a desert, you were like, oh, another grown up. And then to have those grown ups like turn their back on you and mistreat you, it's like, it makes it like extra damaging.
Or like you're the person that transfers into the new team, and you're not liked just because you transferred in from a different building from an. And you could be transferring in because you needed a change, or wow, you're really passionate about 7th grade English and you really wanted to teach it, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta
or you're transferring
people.
because nobody liked you at your other school, and like it's like made up stories about people.
It's so
it's like click behavior. It sounds like
teachers can be very clicky.
Okay. It sounds like a click.
And
I always like to.
You even see it like during like you made a comment on a previous episode about like state testing that just went by, which state testing is the worst because you are just alone with your thoughts. Walking around the room because you can't read anything, do anything, sit down, talk to anyone. You just have to like monitor the kids for like 2 hours and 20 minutes. And with someone who has OCD and ADHD like me, and being alone with your thoughts for that long, you want to jump out a window, but you can't because you're on the first floor. So it really doesn't do any good.
Right.
But it.
But here's a perfect example.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Shane, but like people would be like, "Hey, why are you on bathroom duty and not in one of the testing rooms?" And somebody said, I think might have said that to you, James, and I was like,
"Yeah, well, that's we get an email and it has the entire building schedule with where everyone's going to be and what everyone's assignments are."
Yeah.
And what's so fascinating to me is that like I open it and I look for like Wonko at the bottom. Like Wonko. Okay, Wonko. Okay, here. Okay, me. What other people do is Paul, Jim, John, Andy, Laura, like they're now looking at where everyone else is.
Oh, that person's not in the testing room because
Why?
they're not going to follow what the rules are. And that person's in there because they're the phys ed teachers and they don't do the testing. They just sit at the bathrooms. And then this person, blah, blah, like, or like some would say,
so they're
to me,
keeping tabs.
Yeah, like when I was doing technology stuff in the district,
yes.
I would be like the technology person and help with the devices and like, which was literally turn it off and turn it back on again. And if somebody would say to me like, "Oh, why are you the new guy in the building and you don't get to do testing?" And I'd be like, "Hey, because I've been doing this for like 23 years. So maybe
Right.
when you're doing this for 23 years, then you'll be me and I'll be gone." And then that's the way it works. And I'm not saying you have to pay your dues, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, but anyone in a school building can attest to that level of where I'm like, I don't look at the schedule and creep on what other people, but it is super common. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and I always try to tell my parents of teens or my parents in mom groups that, because they'll say, but, everyone wants a group. Everyone likes to have a group. Well, first of all, not everybody does. Some people feel forced into a group. Not everybody's a big group kind of person. Now kids are having like friend groups that are like 15 people, 20 people deep instead of just like a handful of friends. But that's a whole different conversation. But I try to explain that it's fine to have a group or a friend group or a, teaching group or your department. But when they start to be closed groups, that's when they become cliques. There's nothing wrong with an open friend group. And by open, that means people's positions in that group can change. You can let people in, you can let people out. Someone can be the leader one week, someone takes a back seat the next week. It's a little bit more fluid. A clique is when you start having to ascribe to group rules, group norms, group behaviors, and people's status and hierarchy in the group starts to be set. That's what we want to avoid. There's nothing wrong with groups, but it's that closed group system. When we start to see the problems.
And parents, if your kids are part of a 15, 16, 17 kid friend group and there's the big chat with everyone's in it, I'll guarantee you, I will put money on it that there is a separate chat of a small group of people that are talking junk about some of the other kids that are in that group.
The side chat.
There's
always the side. There's always the side chat. Yeah.
Look, we got one in my fantasy football group. It's the four guys that all we literally talk about nothing, but we'll talk about the games or whatever else because other people don't want to be in that chat. So literally the four of us that are in that chat are just like because the other people don't want to be bothered by group text messages. So we have like a separate thing. But like it gets ugly. I would always say to my daughter all the time, nothing good ever happens in a group chat. She was in a soccer group chat for the team, and then like kids would start talking about each other, and they'd be arguing with each other, and she'd be getting like 65 messages at night, 85 messages at night, 105 messages at night, and I'd be like, Sophia, there's a very easy way to do this, and I would just go to her phone and hit the button, be like, leave group. Like it's real easy for me to do that as her dad, and she was younger at the time.
Yeah.
But like to experience that and to see like I don't want to deal with this. It's all this drama. Like then leave.
Yep.
It's really easy for me to say. For her,
exactly. I was going to say, for her, if she leaves, that's social signaling, and that's signaling something to the group about I don't want to belong. And the belonging is, biologically wired in us as humans. And so you feel really stuck. Like people feel like they may notice something toxic about a group or bad about a group or relational aggression, and they're afraid to leave. They're afraid of the backlash, especially, well, I see it in adults and kids, but I feel worse for kids because it's really scary to leave something and then to not belong.
Or when a kid sets boundaries.
Yes.
And when they do, and they stick to those boundaries, and they get upset, or they decide to be like, hey, you know what? I need some space from this because I've set a boundary, and you've crossed it, and I've asked you multiple times not to. So, therefore, I need to step away for a little bit. That becomes also something that, like, oh, why, why are you making such a big deal out of it? Like, no. I have, like, standards that I set for myself.
Yes.
So
and in order to be able to do that, you have to get really comfortable. So people ask me all the time, like, well, what do we do? What should we do? Like if we're in a group that is using toxic behaviors or relational aggression. And
great question. Great statement, because I was going to ask that, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's no really great answer other than you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. These behaviors have become very, very normalized in our culture. It's become very sort of expected. You hear people say, oh, girls will be girls. Every middle schooler or young high schooler has to go through this. That really actually shouldn't have to be true. And so you have to get comfortable being someone who says, I'm not comfortable with this, and I would rather deal with the consequences on the other side. And as parents, we can be there to support our kids when they are going through let's say they set a boundary and then they're kicked out of the group chat, or they set a boundary and they're not invited to the party. As parents, we need to have conversations about, well, are those the types of people that you want to spend your time with, right? It's not going to be easy to disrupt social norms, especially not in a group setting. But there's peace and happiness and contentment on the other side. Yeah. Once you push through.
Right. And I think you must have a lot of people who deal with that with families, because it's always it's like more impossible with your family because it's like, oh, you're supposed to, and they're your family. Whereas I think as for adults with your friends, like it's difficult, but it's not so interwoven as it is with family.
Yeah, well, and I think part of why I get so interested in this in mom groups is because when you're in a mom group, usually those other mothers are in the same school or in the same neighborhood or in the same church community or synagogue, whatever, right? They're in your infrastructure. And when you can't leave your infrastructure, or your group is part of your infrastructure, just like with your family, you are stuck. And then you feel like you're trapped between a rock and a hard place, right? You're like, do I deal with it? Or do I leave and then disrupt the entire system? Right. So I have to see these people at school, or I have to see these people at the pool, or I have to be with these people for the next 12 years.
For sure. And so recently, also, Doc, you one of the things we'd love to end up with is you were on the Tamron Hall show.
Yes,
which was super exciting. I saw that you were
so
in New York City for a whirlwind 24 hours. We talked. Yes. I was like, man, if you had more time, we would have met for a drink somewhere because it was so close.
Seriously, yes.
Yeah. But no, we'd love to hear about your experience and what you guys talked
It
about.
was great.
I have, admittedly, I know it was end of April that I think it broadcast. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet.
April 27th. So if you go, it's on YouTube.
Got it.
Unfortunately, on YouTube, you have to go to like the Tamron Hall show channel or whatever on YouTube. And then it's like broken into 5 or 6, because it was like 6 segments. Okay. So the whole hour was on toxic mom groups. So the entire hour. And they had myself and another parenting expert, Erica Suter. So her and I were on as the experts. And then they brought in 3 other women that have written articles or talked publicly on social media about their experience with toxic mom groups. And so the whole segment was hearing their stories, Erica and I sharing our professional opinions, and it was wonderful to have it on, national television, talking about the distress it causes for some women.
Well, and that's why I think it's important to. I'm glad this conversation is happening. Like, not just on this show. I mean, like in society in general, because we're like at this. Not to be political for a second, but like we're at this tipping point where people believe I could just say whatever I want to say, right? And like okay, yeah, technically you can, right? But like, should you?
Well,
maybe,
But there's also ways to express yourself or share your feelings without. My dad always said, like, you can disagree without being disagreeable.
Absolutely.
And it is, a learned skill. So, and sometimes what's difficult to explain to kids, and it is so true, like mean kids become mean adults.
Yes, they do.
And it's so it is like creating this awareness of, you can tell somebody what you feel and that you're not agreeing with them without being awful.
Right. And I think it goes back to also we can do hard things. You can, it's not going to be fun. I'm not saying it's fun. You can disrupt a group. You can say, I don't like how you treat people. I don't like how you party every weekend. I don't like how you drink and drive. Whatever it is, right? You can say that and you can be uncomfortable and you can learn how to be uncomfortable. And hopefully you have parents that can help you through that discomfort and how to regulate and how to find new friends and tolerate discomfort for integrity. So I think a lot of times it comes back to understanding what are my integrity factors? What do I need to feel good about at the end of the day? And am I living a life around the types of people that will allow me to feel good about that? Or am I just going along to get along because I think I have no other choice?
That is that is such great advice. It really is.
It's so important.
Yeah. It really is.
It's that easy. I mean, it sounds easy. It's hard. I'm not saying it's not hard, but we can do it, right? Yeah. Talk about grit, right? Like, you can learn those lessons. You can do those things. It will not be fun. It will not be easy, but it's so important. And it's such a life lesson.
Yeah.
And you will feel so much better about yourself when you look in the mirror at the end of the day. And I don't care if you're 13, 14, 15, 36, 46, 56. It's important at any of the stages.
Yeah.
And hard. Sometimes it takes a lot to learn that.
Yeah.
But you learn it.
I get really. I get
go ahead.
disappointed by media sometimes. So like I was also I went to it's called Mom 2.0.
Oh, I saw it. I did see you post some stuff about that. Yeah.
That was all in the same whirlwind superstar week I had. I was like, who am I? But anyway, I was like, someone asked me, they said, my husband's name is Anthony. They said, how's Anthony feel about this? I said, who's Anthony? And then I was like, just kidding. This is 1 week of my life. Let me enjoy it. But,
It's funny.
I ran into a producer at this Mom 2.0 summit. And I had just been on Tamron Hall. I've done CNN with Audie Cornish. Like some bigger platforms are starting to talk about this instead of just looking at it like mom drama or, toxic moms. Like it's kind of like trendy or eye-rolly. And I'm like, it's really not. This has been going on forever. We've just not been talking about it. So one of the producers, I said, would you ever think that I think this could be a good topic for she was there with her client who was signing books. And I said, I think this could be an interesting topic for your viewers. And she said, I would never have this topic on.
Really?
Wow.
She said, I would not introduce this level of negativity on my show.
Wow.
Huh.
And so it's kind of disappointing that, and to me, that's fear-based. It's not, we have to talk about hard things, right? Like to say that this is too negative, or a lot of people see it as pitting females against females, and I don't see it that way. I see it as empowering females to empower their children to say, we can know who we are and we can choose to opt out, period. It's not saying these are mean women, these are bad people. It's saying I can choose to partake or not partake in behaviors that don't align with my value system. Yeah. So I get frustrated that it's either seen as trendy or negative, and I don't want that to be the message. I want the message to be, we don't have to, go along with groupthink all the time. We don't have to be sheep. We can speak up, and we can handle the discomfort of speaking up.
Wow.
That's the message, bottom line, right?
That's
like you see it,
well said.
you see a bad behavior, speak up.
Yeah. And again, it's
Dr.
hard.
Dr. Noelle Santorelli,
yeah, so
every
awesome.
time. Every single time.
Thank you guys.
We do.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Before we go, we do have to do our usual little thing, and just to remind everybody, our season 3 is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Teachers Insurance Plan. Make sure you check out their website, which is linked in our episode, for more information and to get a quote. Teachers Insurance Plan, auto insurance that brings exclusive educator savings and exceptional customer care to New Jersey and Pennsylvania educational employees. Dr. Santorelli and Jamie, I appreciate you guys so much. And
thank
Doc,
you
thanks
guys
again for being willing to join us. I really appreciate it.
Yes,
Of course.
appreciate you so much.
Always. Have a great time.
Being here.
Awesome. And we'll see everybody next time on the Balancing Act podcast.
Bye.
Look for the Balancing Act podcast every week on your favorite podcast platform. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Thank you for being a part of our audience. We appreciate you.